A few days ago, Senator John McCain flew into D.C. even though he's sick with an aggressive form of brain cancer and he was receiving treatment in Arizona. And he casted one of the deciding votes on advancing Trump care. So let's watch part of his speech here and then we'll discuss.
Stop listening to the bombastic loudmouths on the radio and television and the internet. To hell with them. They don't want anything done for the public good. Our incapacity is their livelihood. Let's trust each other. Let's return to regular order. We've been spinning our wheels on too many important issues because we keep trying to find a way to win without help from across the aisle. That's an approach that's been employed by both sides, mandating legislation from the top down without any support from the other side, with all the parliamentary maneuvers that requires. We're getting nothing done, my friends. We're getting nothing done. Why don't we try the old way of legislating in the Senate? The way our rules and customs encourage us to act. If this process ends in failure, which seems likely, then let's return to regular order. More people have lived free and prosperous lives here than in any other nation. We've acquired unprecedented wealth and power because of our governing principles and because our government defended those principles. America has made a greater contribution than any other nation to an international order that has liberated more people from tyranny and poverty than ever before in history. We have been the greatest example, the greatest supporter, and the greatest defender of that order. We aren't afraid. We don't covet other people's land and wealth. We don't hide behind walls. We breach them. We are a blessing to humanity. What greater cause could we hope to serve than helping keep America the strong, aspiring, inspirational beacon of liberty and defender of the dignity of all human beings and their right to freedom and equal justice?
Yeah. That was terrible. So the amazing thing is the reality of the speech versus the portrayal of it in corporate media. I've never seen a more fawning take on something than the corporate media's response to this John McCain speech. Because it's like he gets to portray himself as a maverick while doing the wrong thing. So he voted to advance Trump care and allow debate on it. Now, why is that a bad idea? Well, it's a bad idea because at the time, they literally didn't even know what they were advancing. There's like 4 versions of Trump care. They didn't know which one they're voting to advance. They didn't have any committee hearings. So he keeps lecturing about, we need to follow a proper order and the procedure. That's what we need to do. But they didn't do that. You didn't do that for this bill. So you're voting to advance a bill that you didn't follow proper procedure on as you lecture people about doing the proper procedure. John, that makes no sense. That's a giant fucking contradiction. But the media ignored that part completely. They didn't say anything about that. Of course, they're all wrapped up in the emotion of it, which is a guy who has an aggressive form of brain cancer taking the flight and making the vote. But he voted the wrong way, even according to his own principles, which he's laying out there for you. Now, furthermore, the meat of the speech is just vacuous nonsense. Now, again, the mainstream media won't tell you that because the mainstream media, anything that you call bipartisan, they fucking fawn over. They salivate. They get hard over it. Like, oh, bipartisanship. Oh, bipartisanship. The honorable gentlemen in Washington working together for the common good. Yes, it's the best of America, I must say. Every time the Democrats and Republicans work together, it's amazing, man. But that's not true. That is not true. Usually when Democrats and Republicans agree on something, it's horrendous. It's terrible. It's them agreeing to help their corporate donors and screw over the American people, or them agreeing to be massively hawkish, putting new sanctions on Iran, for example, which they just did in a bipartisan way recently, which violates the fucking Iran deal and is going to blow up our opportunities for peace in the Middle East. So, no, there's nothing inherently good about bipartisanship. They need to agree in a bipartisan way on things that make sense, which they rarely fucking do. Which is why Congress has an approval rating of like 9%. But somehow the people who have a 9% popularity rating, the media fawns over it when they agree with each other, and the American public's like, we don't agree with the decisions they're making. God, the media is so stupid. Okay, now, let's go through some of the stuff he says. He said, don't listen to the bombastic loudmouths on the internet and on TV. They don't want anything done for the public good. Oh, really? Oh, really? At least people who are bombastic loudmouths on TV and the internet, at least some of them in the radio, at least some of them actually have an ideology and a philosophical position, agree or disagree with them. Whereas the people in Washington are mostly corporate sellouts, and you're doing the bidding of the corporations, and you don't have principled positions on one thing or another thing. What's your fucking position on this, John McCain? This isn't principled. How is this principled? Follow proper procedure. That's what we need to do. Anyway, we didn't follow it on this bill. I'm voting to advance it. And then, there you go. Let's trust each other and work together. This is what he said. Let's trust each other. No, we don't have a government based on trust. We have a government based on checks and balances. Let's trust each other and work together. Yes, Democrats and Republicans should work together and agree on things that we do, and wouldn't that be amazing? Not if all the decisions you're making are bad decisions, which they are. And then the end is just the red meat to the corporate media and the elites in the country. We have a free, prosperous country. America made a greater contribution to the world than any other nation ever. We are a blessing to the world. That's what he said. We are a blessing to the world. Who says that? Like, why do we suck our own dicks so fucking much? Like, that's fucking crazy that you're out there saying that. When, look, I'm not trying to leave America. I like the country, but that doesn't mean that we didn't do slavery and the fucking Native American genocide, and we didn't just do the war in Iraq, which killed minimum 200,000 civilians. We set up a worldwide torture regime. We have Guantanamo Bay, which is an extrajudicial prison. We're violating our own constitution. We have 7 different wars going on right now. Vietnam, the war that John McCain fought in, There were the Pentagon Papers, which proved that we were using Agent Orange and napalm on these innocent fucking villagers and massacring women and children. Why the fuck? We're top allies with Saudi fucking Arabia right now, one of the least free countries in the world, and this idiot goes up there and says, freedom and democracy. We've liberated so many people, which is why we keep giving Saudi Arabia money so they can have an iron grip of control on their country and be tyrants. It's just not true. What he's saying is not correct. It is not accurate. But it doesn't matter. Because the media, oh my God. Oh, neutrality. We love neutrality. Therefore, we love bipartisanship. So bipartisanship is awesome. And John McCain says, let's work together. And, oh yes, we love, jerking ourselves off too. So America, free, prosperous. We made the best contributions to the world. We are a blessing to the world. This isn't like a fucking maverick speech. This is a guy who's blowing smoke up everybody's ass, doing cliches and platitudes. And at the same time he's doing that, he's voting the wrong way. Let's follow procedure. Anyway, let's not follow procedure, and I will advance the bill that we didn't have any hearings on, and that we don't even know which fucking bill we're voting on. So it is a giant contradiction, John McCain. It is a giant contradiction. And by the way, Nate Silver, of all people, pointed out something interesting about this. He said the generational divide in how people viewed that speech was huge. So in other words, older people looked at that and they went, oh, John McCain! Oh, John McCain, he's so great, he's so wonderful, he's so bipartisan, he's such a maverick. And they heaped praise on it. Whereas the younger generation, virtually across the board, it was like, that's some bullshit. How are you going to rant against in favor of following standard procedure, and then you're not in favor of standard procedure? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. The fuck are you talking about, John? What are you talking about? Look, I hope the guy gets better. Of course. He has an aggressive form of brain cancer. He's going to fight it now. So I send my best wishes to John McCain for his health. But that doesn't mean that every point he makes from here on out is good. That doesn't mean he's by definition a maverick. That doesn't mean his vote was correct here. That doesn't mean his speech was good. Sorry. Not really sorry.